Correct. So good morning, sir. How are you doing? Welcome to Sport This Morning.
I'm glad to be a morning. How are you? Morning to our viewers.
We are here operating on minimum sleep, but at least that is something that can be easily remedied, not like the field you specialize in. For starters, how severe are these injuries?
Indeed, I'm glad that we're in World Cup season, but this World Cup is not the other previous World Cups I have ever seen. People sleep in bars, people sleep on TVs watching World Cup. I was coming this morning. The match was started at around 5:30 that time. Then I was just crossing. When I reached at Busega roundabout, then I saw people in the bar. They are still in the bar at around 6. Then I said, oh. But anyway, when you look at the knee joint, being one of the few doctors in Africa to write about bones, in my book entitled Bones and Rocks, there is the way how I introduced the knee joint as far as my research is concerned. I named the knee joint as the only joint with life in the darkness. Life in the darkness means something is breathing in a dark continent. For example, there are 3 joints in the lower limb. Look at the tarsal joint, the one which connects the leg to the ground. Then look at the knee. The last joint is the hip. But when you look at the knee joint, there is the way how we grouped the knee joint in one way, that being one of the most prominent and the biggest joint, we termed it as the heart of the lower limb. People know that we only have the heart, the one found in the chest. But when you do much research on the knee, you are going to find that the heart of the lower limb means starting from the waist, from the pelvis, going downwards. That's what you call a lower limb in bones. So all the life of the lower limb depends on the metabolic rate, the way how the knee works. In fact, when you look at more research about the knee, you are going to the most loyal joint of the body is the knee joint. So knee joint almost is composed of, there are 5 bones. Look at the femur, the biggest bone in the body, the longest bone, then the tibia, fibula, the patella, then the fibula. So there are 5 joints in the knee joint. Then
I would like to ask before we go very far. The small science I studied in school, I know about the femur, longest bone. I know about the tibia and fibula because there are 2. And then this one that is at the front of the knee, the patella.
The patella.
So there's another one you've mentioned.
The last one.
the fibula.
Which one is that one?
The fibula is found behind the joint, behind the knee joint. It's in between the femur and the fibula and tibia. It's a small bone. You cannot notice it, but as far as our research is concerned, there is a bone there. It's called the fibula. For most people, they don't talk about the fibula because if you look at one of its function, it becomes vestigial with time. It's like the appendix of the intestines.
So you can do without, you can survive without
it. You can survive without it. So then the other components of the knee, we are going to talk. We look at the ligaments, the anterior cruciate ligament, the lateral collateral ligament, the medial, then the one which is behind, the so-called posterior cruciate ligament. Then the other thing about the knee joint, we look at the articular cartilage, the one which covers those bones. Then we look at the meniscus. Then with time we are going to look at the synovial. the synovial fluid, the one which is produced by the sinusitis. Then another thing, when you talk about the knee joint, we are going to look about the tendons covering the knee, especially the quadriceps tendon, the prepatellar tendon. So that's the composition, the composition of the knee joint.
What's the difference between those? Okay, we know the bones. This is a bone. But there is a meniscus, there is a tendon, a ligament. Because I would like to understand the difference between those parts.
The parts. So we are going to be discussing one by one. At least, if we want our viewers to understand about the knee joint, we are going to be discussing. When we come to talk about the anterior cruciate ligament, it will be our topic. When we come to talk about the collateral, the lateral collateral ligament, it will be our topic during that time, at that particular moment. But for more about the difference between the tendon, the meniscus, we are going to say that since the life of the bone is found within the joint. In fact, the bone breathes around the joint. When I was making my research about the DNA, why they remove the DNA on the bone will never die till you die, and it continues to live after your death. A bone will never die till you die and will continue living even though you die. So that's a bone. So that's why they do DNA on a bone, even though you have. In fact, a bone determines the age which you spend on the earth. For example, when they are doing half-life, they can spend 100 years. You can die 100 years, but they can move your bone to detect how many years did you spend on here before you die. That's what we call a bone. A bone, in fact, a bone is life. Biblically. They can get your bone and they get you.
Science omulabanga bwazitoye.
The moment they get a bone of my dear colleague, automatically they have him. And they can manufacture him from that particular bone. For example, I was reading a scripture in the Bible how Prophet Elijah gave life to bones. So,
value of bones.
Yeah. So a bone is you. Even though you die 100 years, they can get your bone and get you back in life. So that's how far my research has gone deep in the bone. So we are going to summarize. The good thing today is going to be our introduction on knee joint. And I have heard that we are going to be having this every Wednesday. So we are going to break a knee joint. I told my colleague, a knee joint is a very complex joint. You cannot break a knee joint in one day. So when we come to anterior cruciate ligament, we shall see what does anterior cruciate ligament does. And when it gets traumatized or injuries, how do you make it healthy, especially in footballers and so on and so on. So that's how we are going to be moving.
I think we shall take injury by injury, and we'll be able to maybe specifically take one at a time. But the question that many would have right now is why? Why is there a rise in knee injuries? Because, and I don't want to say it's limited to sports. Some good friends of mine at KPM may not be happy with what I'll say next. But you will find that even people who are not into sports are strapping knee braces. Why is there an increase in knee injuries?
So the increase is due to being the biggest joint in the body with almost 5 milliliters of synovial fluid. That means it's the busiest joint. You cannot do anything without the knee joint. Come to movement, come to any active leisure. So it works 24/7. Even though you are sleeping, the knee joint works 24/7. Due to the fact that even your blood flow, the rate at which your blood flow moves from down up towards the gravity is determined by the knee joint. So knee joint is adapted to many physiological orthopedic functions. So the reason why the rise in the knee cases rising is because of occupation. You cannot work without a knee joint. People are moving from one place to another. It's done by the knee joint. Come to drivers, come to bikers, come to players. So the rate at which the knee joint exposure to physiological function of the body is high compared to other joints in the body. Look at the metatarsal joints, the one found in the hands. You can bear without the tarsal joints. Look at the phalangeal joints. You can bear but you cannot move from here up to there without the knee joint. So the exposure orthopedic activities done by the knee joint compared to other joints are dominant. So other joints you can bear, they are recessive activities done. But when it comes to a knee joint, automatically. So people know that knee joint only is very active during locomotion, during movement. But there are other functions of the knee joint. For example, look at a lady when it goes for menstruation. The knee joint is involved in a menstruation.
How?
Look at the venous return.
How?
During ovulation, when the ovum bursts, the knee also bursts, especially the anterior cruciate ligament. It releases prostaglandins.
And
those are hormones. It's hormone. Yeah. So those hormones help in to release the ova, in fact to enhance ovulation. So other thing which the knee joint works, even though it's not movement, venous return, the rate at which the blood returns to the heart, is done by the knee joint. So due to the fact that other joints cannot do hormonal work, the knee joint is the only joint in the body which is involved in hormonal endocrine activities. It stimulates hormones. So due to the fact, another fact is that your height depends on the knee joint. The rate at which you are growing, your height, either you are short or long, is determined by the knee joint. The rate at which the knee joint grows, especially the femur, because the femur is part of the knee joint. The rate at which, remember, the femur is the most joint which has high growth receptors in the body. So the rate at which it grows, that's when your height goes up. It determines your height. So there are other activities done by the knee joint which is not done by the other joints in the body. That makes it to get exposed to more injuries than other joints in the body. So when we specialize in soccer, you cannot play soccer without a knee joint. The rate at which your femur, when I was working, the rate at which your fibula and tibia, when I was writing on tibia, fibula and tibia in my book, I named the only joint where the DNA of your talent belongs is the tibia. DNA, the talent DNA, is found within the tibia. And tibia is part of the knee joint.
I have, Jermaine, and these are now theories, because now we've agreed, Dr. Mukasa, that this is going to be, we are as ignorant as possible in this discussion. So you say that the tibia is the DNA of talent.
Yeah.
Is that the big bone that is at the front of the shin? Or the one?
The shin bone, they call it the shin bone.
So what I would like you to tell me, if there's any science to this, that footballers with curved legs are more talented than those with straight legs, or those which are a bit shaped outwards. Because I like that question. I like that relation, that if that is where the talent is, when people see you standing with legs like this, like, this is a good footballer, automatically. Then it is now up to you to prove them wrong, but you start from you have talent.
Higher ranking.
Yes.
It's an adaptation, by the way. For example, people who are living in higher mountains, they are short because there is low oxygen tensions. People who are having curved legs, the rate at which they control the ball is higher than that, those who are not curved. Remember, when it's curved, that means the absorption gradient of the ball to be controlled, not to go far, is high because the ball will be in a curved area. So to remove that, if you are an opponent, to remove a ball from the person with that curved legs it's somehow technical than that person which has no curved legs. So that's where the talent.
So it is true.
It's
Jamil.
an adaptation.
It is true. Like when you see Messi, you see.
So the way the ball sits when they are moving
Bengo.
with so when they are, if you're having a curved leg, when you're with the ball is within, it's circumscribed within your legs. So to remove a ball with which is circumscribed within those legs, you need to be technical. So that's why they say curved legs, they are more talented. It's an adaptation.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Stay clear, Jamil. Now need to go in villages looking for people. Because already the science is in their favor.
Deny people certain food so that the legs begin. You guys. We were still listening, doctor. The increase on the injuries.
So those are some of the causes what makes knee joint injuries to be at a better rate than other joints.
Let me throw this one your way. There's also a feeling that the turf that you get to play on, or the pitch or the stadium, be it synthetic, be it grass, also has an effect on the knee. Could you care to comment on that?
The environmental factors, I don't think so. I don't think so. The only thing which environmental factors can affect the knee is gravity and oxygen tension. But via talent and skills, it cannot.
I mean, doctor, in terms, because research has been done, I would love to check and maybe share with you. But there's an increase or maybe a change in the, is it called prevalence?
Prevalence,
yes.
Yeah,
of knee injuries because of the surface where they are playing. So from natural grass or turf where you're playing from, which is a bit soft ground, and then the rate of knee injuries on those surfaces is less than the rate of knee injuries on artificial turf and other synthetic surfaces.
But they have just brought flat surfaces. I mean, people previously in the past they were not playing football. They are playing football, but energy, that's what I talked about, oxygen tension. The rate at which the energy used by the knee on the appearance of the pitch. When the pitch is snug, they use a lot of energy. When it is flat, less energy. So that's the only difference. The energy applied on the knee during the activity is the one which increases. But skills and talent
so there's more
remains
energy.
constant. Yeah.
So there's more energy that you will exert on the knee from a hard surface compared to a soft surface.
Exactly.
So maybe you could say there will be more knee injuries for someone playing on a court, basketball, volleyball, compared to someone playing in sand and maybe in water or on grass.
So when it comes to volleyball and basketball, that's then another theory as far as the setup is concerned. Because when you look at volleyball, the pitch changes. When you look at the sandball, the pitch changes. So the setup.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's one of the researchers that was done by the, and I don't mean to contest with you, to be honest, because at this point, clearly you can see the gulf in knowledge. But one of the things that was done is... I'm
not researching.
Yeah. was the incidence of knee injuries on artificial turf versus natural grass in national collegiate, that is athletic, American football, from 2004, 2005 to 2013, 2014. And that research concluded that artificial turf is an important risk factor for specific knee ligament injuries in college football, in that injury rates for, this is PCL. PCL is?
Posterior cruciate.
Yeah. Tears, PCL tears were significantly increased during competitions played on artificial turf compared with natural grass. And I'm thinking, given the explanation that you've said, this is a very long research, the explanation that you've given is that the stress or is it the energy that
the
you put,
energy which I talked about, the
yeah,
force, the
the
tensional
force,
forces.
yes, that you put
automatically.
on the knee because of the hardness of the surface. It goes up when you're on artificial turf as compared to when you're on natural grass.
Remember, most of the authors, because for me I'm an author, I do research, that's why I wrote a book. Most of our authors, when you are doing research, we express ourselves, we feel what we are researching. You feel it. You feel the rhythm, that spiritual rhythm, then you start writing. So conspiracy theories may be there, but at the end of the day, they come with the same conclusion. Yeah.
Interesting times. All right. And again, I'm hoping we're going, first of all, through the basics. And then maybe we'll get to specific injuries as we carry on with every other Wednesday. So, knee injuries, we are assuming you have one. We're not going to specify which one as yet. We just want you to give us an overview. Why it takes as long as it does to recover, how long that recovery process tends to look like, and there are going to be a couple of conspiracy theories here, including where I tell you can go and they made it on remote control. So, so we're going to just walk through all these and get to understand from the sports point of view, how long roughly, on overview, does a knee injury take to recover? Because you've just given us a bit of the hints on how they come about, but I don't think we can go into specifics of the causes until you're dealing with each one individually.
So, knee injuries, it depends which, but as far as my research is concerned, most of the knee injuries which they rule out are contradictive. They tend to be differential diagnosis. To get a targeted diagnosis should be very technical, because I've received patients who are supposed to go under knee surgery, but at the time then after the treatment found themselves that the knee surgery was not necessary. What we should do as orthopedic doctors, especially in Uganda and Africa at large, let us go to do more research. That's how we are going to save our footballers. Because you may find the diagnosis may be on just the muscle. Then the person rules out anterior cruciate ligament, torn or tear, posterior, what. Then at the end of the day, you found they are torturing our footballers psychologically. Then the footballer think about surgery. So more research is needed on the knee injuries, but most of the knee injuries exposed on the knee, they are anterior and the lateral. Why anterior and the lateral? Because it's the front. It's the front. When the person comes to tackle, most of the opponents tackle the anterior and the lateral. Lateral means the outside knee. So injuries vary from acute to chronic. But what I'm emphasizing is one before knee injuries become the main objection. There are two theories on the knee. 60% of the synovial fluid is produced within the knee. That means within the cells of the knee. Those are sinusoids. 40% of the synovial fluid comes from the plasma, comes from the blood, comes from the outside the knee. That means if you want to prevent further injuries of the knee, we should keep the 40%, which causes, most of the causes of the injuries physiologically are caused by the 40%, which comes, 40% of the synovial fluid, which comes from the blood. And that blood, everything which you feed on, which you take, let me say you are taking alcohol, you are taking drugs, that with time, when they become dominant in blood, they are going to enter into the knee joint. So most of the injuries our footballers get on the pitch, they are signal that they are having a physiological injuries. The one they get on the pitch, they just worsen.
Is impact.
It's impact. They just alarm.
But there's already a predominant situation.
There is already a predominant situation.
Guys, I'm about to buy bubble wrap for my knees at this rate.
So it's better, as I always advise footballers, it's better at least you service one knee as we service our cars. At least twice in a year. Service one knee.
Service. What do you
Now
mean
there's
by
servicing
service?
knees also.
Automatically.
What is servicing the knee?
Servicing the knee, they should know, they should check your ligaments, they should check your muscles, they should check your tendons, they should check your articular surfaces, then they should check your meniscus, plus the synovial itself, before you get into the chronic injuries. Because I've seen footballers living their dreams become seized because of those injuries. But when you do research, there was a predominant syndrome presenting behind that traumatic injury on the pitch.
So why does it take long then to heal from knee injuries?
Pardon? Why does it take long?
Yeah, to heal. Let's say you've suffered a knee injury today, you'll hear that it's going to take 9 months, 6 months.
9 months, it depends on the nature of the injury.
Why isn't it 2 weeks?
The reason why it takes long, it's one thing. Muscles on the knee, they are not predominant. The knee is surrounded by ligaments and tendons. And ligaments and tendons have one physiological difference. There is no blood supply in it. There is no nervous supply. There is no lymphatic supply. Then how will they receive the drugs which you are taking to heal? No way. So that means it's a slow process because there is no blood supply in the ligaments and then there is no lymphatic drainage, there is no nervous supply. So they are supplied on their terminal points, where they begin from and where they end from. Then you found at the end of the day, they take long because there is no direct connection between the drugs you are taking and the absorption gradient of those ligaments and tendons, and it becomes a drama. But when you get an injury within the muscle, automatically 1 month, 2 weeks, it's healed because muscles, there is blood supply, there is lymphatic supply, and nervous supply. So that's the drama why most of the injuries takes time.
I don't know if I should be more comfortable now that I have the knowledge, or I should be more worried given the severity of the knowledge. It is, I think it is one of those proper catch-22 situations. Especially now when you hear servicing needs, now we need to find out how often Sarah has to go and get her serviced, you know?
I have a question, Doctor. You know, the environment in which we operate, medical services are not cheap. If I have to choose between lunch and servicing my knee, the knee will be fine. I have to eat. Yeah, but there are some things which someone can do to, one, see if their knee is healthy. Do I stretch? Maybe in the morning I wake up and my knees are cracking. I know there's a problem. Do I try to make maybe a squat, try to squat as if I'm on a latrine, you know, that deep squat? Do I try to jump, or do I just sit flat or sleep flat? Like, what are some of those things that I can do? One, to check the condition of my knee, but then also to quote-unquote service, to ensure that my knee is in good condition, or to improve the condition in which my knee is.
I always advise, if you know that your knee participates in your salary income, at least save for it. If you know that your knee participates in your salary income, save for it, even though you save for it 1% per month.
If your knee puts food on the table.
Save for it 1% per month, it's enough. If you are getting 1 million and then 1%, that's 10,000 per month. Then you go for servicing. That's per year. That's 120K. Then go to the footballers. Almost 50% of their salary, they get it from the knee. Why don't they save for 10% for the knee? Before things worsen on the pitch.
We have just a couple of minutes to the top of the hour. So I'm just going to get back to general lifestyle and how that can improve the knee. Then I think we'll save the injuries. I really wanted to get into the SCL today, but I think at the rate we are going, we might have to go slow. Yeah. So technically, you said a lot of these things are predominantly within your body, with the way you've been living, with what you've been eating, and that is what exacerbates the injury that you get while you're on the pitch, and it determines how long or how much of an impact that has. I hope we're still clear on this point. So in the event that you're watching Dr. Musa today on Sport This Morning, and you're a sportsman, aspiring, former, amateur, at whatever level, you say, but now they've said we have to take care of the knee. What are some of those lifestyle choices, especially via feeding, that you can take to start improving as you save so that you go for servicing of the knee?
There is a challenge that people, they think servicing the knee is taking calcium supplements and other things.
Eating chigere.
Eating chigere, so and so. When I was doing my research on calcium, I realized that when a bone reaches to a steady mature stage, it doesn't need calcium. That typically you are taking and calcium supplement, they are used by muscles for contraction to move the bone, but the bone doesn't benefit in the excess calcium. And when it becomes excess, it affects the heart, it affects the spinal cord. Because when calcium becomes excess in the body, it forms a concrete. And those concrete are stored around the joints of the spine. And with time, the spinal vertebra gets deformities. But how do you keep your knee healthy? The health of the bone is determined by your joint. It differs. In females and male, it differs. Because females, they have one variation in men. They only participate in the menstruation cycle. So we don't advise ladies who are playing football after their menstruation or during menstruation to play football, because the anterior cruciate ligament is porous. So the chances of getting injuries of the anterior cruciate ligament becomes high. So during that time, at least get a rest. Otherwise, you are going to get an injury caused by menstruation, and it takes long to heal, because that's hormonal. Hormones, they take their time. Then come to men, monitor your testosterone levels always. They are produced within the testes. So the health of the knee joint, when the bone, if you want to get, the rate at which your bone gets infected depends on the rate at which your joints get exposed to pathogens. So you cannot keep a bone healthy without a joint. A joint is a door which takes you into the bone. So if you want to keep your joints healthy, bones healthy, monitor the knee joint, the joints. But the way, how do you monitor your joints? The 40% I told you. Monitor your blood plasma, monitor your organs, the organs of the body. The 60% is within the knee joint. So that's how far.
I was hoping they would tell us eat katunkuma, eat chigere.
I will not advise people to eat, because nutrition is the great proportion to the blood group. You may be with O, then you eat your katunkuma, you are done. So to get the nutrition for your joints, first know your blood group. The moment you know the blood group, automatically they will advise you what you are supposed to eat.
I feel like this is consistently taking us down a deeper rabbit hole. Just when you think, okay, now we have arrived, you feel like there's a lot more that you probably need to get. And I think that's a discussion that we should have at a more expanded rate. But there definitely will be a couple of sportsmen and women out there who say, listen, this is something that I probably feel is adequately geared towards my career. And I would want to reach out to Dr. Musa Mukasa and have a private consultation. How do they go about that, rather than having to wait for you to come back next Wednesday, just as we wrap up this session?
And about bonds, the Europeans, the British, the colonialists. Just go to my Google account, put Musa Orthopedic Center. The moment you put Musa Ortho, automatically to give you the details. Then the other thing, we have 2 branches for consultation. Wilson Road, Kampala, then in Pidgey. But the moment you put Musa Orthopedic Center, automatically the Google knows the guys under mountain research about bones. It will just give you the link. Then we'll be with direct contact with me.
Interesting stuff. Ernest, I don't know how safe you feel about your knees, especially. Now I'm thinking about you who even takes the time to go and put a touch rug.
Because I had a couple of questions, but I think there'll be time for it, because there's things, and I'm trying to make mental notes so that at least when doctor comes back, we might have maybe answers.
Yeah.
What causes my knees to crack? Maybe the other thing is
it safe for the knees to crack?
Is it
because
okay
the
for
people
them
like
to
us
crack?
who
Is
intentionally crack the knee?
Is it an age thing? You know, do you reach a point, and because I have older parents, retired parents, these maybe challenges they are facing, are they worse in old age? How can we help them? And then also, if I'm an athlete, I was genuinely interested in knowing what I can do to ensure that it's a very big, nothing in science is standalone. It's a whole, because I was wondering if I take a liter of soup once every week, my knees will be okay, or if maybe if I go for swimming, or if I jog, something like that. The shoes that I put on, you know, I have so many questions, but I am thinking the more we have those conversations, the more we'll have a bit of clarity on what happens to the knees, because there's no game that you'll watch, I think, at this point, maybe the footballers, but there's no basketball game you'll watch, there's no rugby game, volleyball game that you'll watch, and you don't see someone wearing a knee strap. And for some, it's even mental that I have to have a knee strap because of my knees. So it's an important joint, and hopefully we can get as much knowledge as we can going forward. Today, of course, I already have enough already, like now. I already know what is what. I didn't know there was a small bone behind the knee.
Yeah, I was about to place an order.
Of Chigere, but they say Chigere helps the muscles. Works for the muscles, and you can't take a lot.
I'm telling you. Dr. Musa Mukasa, thank you very much for joining us on Sport this morning. We're looking forward to having another of these conversations next Wednesday, when we'll probably get to start tackling the injuries in depth, but also more towards the tailored for the athlete regimen, and how you can make sure that these injuries are dealt with. Maybe just one more before we run away. Just a quick yes or no question. This whole remote control fixing of joints, does it work, or it's just a theory?
The local.
Yeah, I tell you, you sit at home, we shall
3
deal
p.m.
with you.
We shall be working.
That's the ancestral origin of orthopedics. That's where orthopedics started. Remember, the first surgery was done in Africa. So Africa were the first people to discover the orthopedic rhythms and treatment, on how to manage bones and joints. So the only thing we have to update, those people, they have to upgrade. That's the only thing, but we don't have an issue with them. Just they have to upgrade that. The old is running at a very high speed. Yeah.
So it works.
Interesting.
It works.
Yeah.
They can treat you from Masaka when you're here.
If you have Bluetooth, then why do you deny that this one cannot work? What's your problem? Sit here and the thing is here, there's no cable and you're hearing. Then how about... I'm telling you. Asante sana, Dr. Musa. It's a very enlightening conversation. One that I might say is a bit worrying, especially if you like some of us. But Definitely, knowledge is power, and we're glad that you've been able to come and spare time and share with us this knowledge. We're looking forward to next Wednesday when we would have you for a lengthier discussion. All right, just before we go into the break, I need to remind you not to get bubble wrap, but it is your time.